Well, there's his water pump, about to go back in. I've put the gasket on it and I've smeared it with a bit of silicone. Now I know people say don't put silicone on gaskets, but I always did, I always have, and I'm not going to stop now, because this casting isn't a smooth surface, it's pitted. It's just like a kind of sand casting, it's all rough edges. And so I'd sooner just make sure it's 110% sealed. I don't want to have dripping water down back at engine. That means I've got to do all this work all over again. Well, there's his water pump tucked back in. And as with anything, when you're bolting up somewhere that's got multiple bolts, if you're bolting it on, go from centre out, and if you're taking it off, go from outside in, because that takes the stresses off it much more easier. So, you know, kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go around, work from the nearest one to centre out, and then we're in. And yeah, I mark my parts when I fit them, so I get an idea of how they're aging. I've just tried to pull this off by hand and it don't want to come off by hand any further than that, so there must be a bit of a burr on edge. But I wanted to get a better view at the seal behind. Maybe it might need a new oil seal in there, I don't know. But the tiny amount of, well, there isn't a tiny amount, it's sealed well, it's doing well for its age. Well, I decided to push it back on, and as I pushed it back on it seemed quite free to turn, so I gave it a few twists and a pull and it came off. Now at the back here you can see there's a key, which are often called woodruff keys, and that stops the cambelt pulley on the crank from spinning. But as you can see from this notch here, there's no key being fitted for the auxiliary belt pulley. So I'm amazed that's not been spinning and wearing end of that crank away. Totally shocked. It was just held by the tension of the nut and bolt that was holding it on. I'm going to have to find a key for that, because I'm not prepared just to put it back on without one. That's something only a total frigging idiot would do. So whoever had this off before me was an idiot. Yeah, getting this tensioner back in is a bit of a pain, but you can do it. What you have to do is get it sat just on the end of the peg for it, and then push this up with your thumb so that side will create something it hits against. I can't see what it hits against, but it does. So unless this is up kind of halfway, you won't get that to go all the way on the peg. And what you can do is push up on here with your thumb, he says, but from this angle I kind of can't, but it's not super tough. In fact, if you push with your thumb and pull down on that with your fingers, then it's dead easy, but I can't get my fingers and hold the camera at the same time, so trust me. Pull that down, push that up, and as you seesaw it backwards and forwards, you can wobble it onto that peg. If there's two of you, then it's no trouble at all. Right, his next step now is just take his new belt and feed it over his pulleys, marking the notches up around the bottom one, and then tighten up some more nuts. Right, you can slide your belt back on your two top pulleys, match them up, 1 to 1, 2 to 2, keep it nice and tight over that hydro wheel, come down to your bottom and mark your 3 to 3, and then your hard part is getting it over your water pump and tensioner, and you just got to curse and swear till it goes on. Don't twist it, don't pinch it, don't stretch it with the screwdriver. It's put on by fingers only. No tools to push this on, you'll damage it. Once you've got it on, you can then put the crankshaft pulley bolt back in and start turning it over with a spanner by hand to make sure it goes all the way around. Keep going until Well, until you know it's right, that's at least 4 full turns on that crankshaft. From, 12 o'clock all the way around to 12 4 times. If you can do that, then your pistons and valves aren't coming into contact with each other, and then you can continue building up. Once you've done that, and you've got to turn it the same way as the engine goes, clockwise only. Once you've done all that, that'll have got all the slack out the belt, it should be running true, and you can tighten the nuts up on the tensioner and you can consider that done. We're about to go back on with the rocker cover, which will now make my van have 30 more horsepower and do an extra 30 miles an hour. We have the old gasket and the new gasket. Now here's the new one. As you can see, it's nice and bendy. And there's the old one. Yeah, not very bendy. So that's what happens to them. They go hard, they go brittle, and they don't seal. New ones are only a few quid. Well, with his engine mount back in place, there's belts on, it's sat nice on the pulleys, much better than the old one used to sit. We still haven't got anything like a throttle cable or the breather pipes, but we do have water and we do have oil, so we can turn it over and it should start. Well, a bit noisy. But we're running. After a successful test firing and running it for 15-20 minutes to warm it up and put the water in and get the air out, we're on to something else now. That pipe is spewing dirty stuff all over the top of my nice new shiny bit. I don't like dirty stuff on my shiny bit. This can't be lived with. But look at all this mass of spaghetti pipework. What the fuck were Peugeot thinking? I mean, we've got a diesel pipe that comes from the tank. It comes up this end, it goes over there, it goes round there, it goes across there, it goes round there, it goes into that, and then it goes all the way back again. Why didn't they put that over there and save on this loop of salt? Guess what? The scissors are coming out. The scissors are out, this pipe work's going to get cut back, trimmed back, and it's going to be neater, tidier, and then also more reliable. Because having a hooper pipe, and the more pipe you have, the more point of failure you've got, so the shorter the better, so that pipe's coming out. Well, that will take care of the old vacuum hoses for the EGR and whatever else, cold start valve. Cold start valves never worked, don't need it, and all the split pipes have done is drop my vacuum, so that's that answered. I won't be dropping vacuum anymore when I shove that back on. That's that capped off. Now there's what's the issue with the pipe, and I don't have another pipe, and I'm at least 20 miles away from getting another pipe, so I need to put something on there that'll get me to get another pipe. Remember this stuff? You know, we covered it with polyurethane, polystyrene 2-part body filler or fiberglass. I'm going to cover it in silicone. This is what happens if you buy silicone and store it. Air gets in at the bottom It sets from the bottom to the top, and in cold weather it's even worse. And there we are. It's not a pretty sight. I'll tidy it up, I'll clean that off, cut them ties, but that's going to hold. They'll probably hold for years, but that'll definitely get me to, I don't want to say the dealers to buy a pipe. I'm going to go to scrapyard and get one. There'll be one there. There'll be a little Fiat Scudo or something, I can take one off. Yeah, that's about it. Well, not finished yet, not by quite a bit, but the pipes are a bit neater. There's still just as many of them, but at least we've got this moved over near the filter. It's a shorter, it's not going all the way over there and back again anymore. What I'm going to do is I'm going to steal this pipe clip from here. That doesn't seem to serve a purpose, and I'm going to put it over here at the back to hold this throttle cable out the way. Well, still missing an alternator, hydro pulley and an Ox belt, but we have a back together engine with the priming bulb moved over to one side, shortened some pipes. I've still got a lot of air in this diesel, see these bubbles? Sure, that's not normal. That's what it says.